Hello and welcome to Relatable Judaism Podcast at Aishlit, Los Angeles. This is Rabbi Jack Malul. Wherever you are, wherever you're going, doing, driving, there is nothing better than listening to something meaningful that Judaism has to offer that is relatable and will leave us lit on life. Today's topic will be on red flags and what is love.
Don't forget, ghosting is bad. Don't ghost. Bad person if you ghost. How do I know? Because people ghost me all the time. Hey, you came to my Shabbats for the past 3 years. How you doing? No response. I don't get those tingles going on my phone, right? And there's another one. Are you guys texting each other? Anywho, so what we're going to do today is we're going to continue, okay? The very big fundamentals I will tell you, and there are two very important fundamentals that we mentioned, and I'll repeat them again because we cannot continue our classes without them, okay? Getting into a relationship is easy or hard?
Hard. Easy. Getting into one is easy. Making it last is hard.
Exactly. But you know what? Is the easy part really a relationship? No. That is the question. So I want to ask and I want to suggest that if it's that hard and it's not always that easy, and I can tell you that it really isn't, according to Judaism. In fact, marriage is going to be even more difficult. Okay, so as you even get committed to marriage, the first year is what we call Shana Rishonah, which is a very delicate time. We were just talking about it. What did he call it? It's like an explosive bomb. What's it called?
Nuclear ticking bomb.
It's a nuclear ticking bomb, right? Which means that we understand that when you get into a relationship, you are going to face opposition. But what's the point in that? Now, most people, their mindset is, I'm going to get in a relationship, no opposition at all. It's going to make me more comfortable. It's going to make me more relaxed. It's going to make my life much easier, and it will. Don't get me wrong. Getting in a relationship will, I promise, take you to places that you can never believe. And I can tell you, right? So, but it can really make you go high and fly high. But at the beginning and throughout, especially at the beginning, you will be faced opposition. And what's the point in that? That's almost like annoying. Actually, when you look at it from a Jewish perspective, that is exactly what I'm there to have. I need it. It's my key to becoming a great person. Opposition makes somebody great. We actually understand that marriage is to have an ezer kenegdo. You have somebody who is going to be like you, who's going to be attracted to you, but they're also going to be opposite you. No longer can you just leave your socks wherever you want to. No longer can you just have smelly breath the way you used to. No longer can you not put some clean clothes on like you used to, right? You have to now actually be considerate of somebody else. Your whole life is involved around another person. And what happens is you're now in a different world where you're facing opposition, and opposition means growth, okay? Just like we just came up. You just came up with this idea, Menachem. I was just talking with Menachem about this. When you have two faults coming together, right? What eventually happens? You get mountains, right? That's how mountains are formed, is when the faults come together and eventually boom. That is exactly the point of marriage. Not just marriage, all mitzvot. Everything we do is to face opposition, and through it we grow into a better person. We need other people to help us grow, especially a spouse. So that is really the essence of marriage. If anyone ever asks you, what is the point of marriage? One answer,
Growth.
To growth. The second is because it's a mitzvah. It's a healthy and right environment to grow a family in. You cannot let a family grow in a wild, loose world that it's in. You have to grow a family in a place and an environment where there's a healthy mother and a father and a relationship, and that's what it means to grow a family, or to share values and morals. is in an environment where this child really has complete attention and love, and there's no fighting and pulling the child to different areas. The stronger the bond is at home, the stronger the child's going to be against any opposition that he faces outside. Okay, you can give him all the money in the world you want, but it won't have the same impact that two healthy parents will have on a child. No money can affect a person like a healthy environment that he's brought up into. Okay, so those are the two reasons why marriage is really important to Judaism. Remember, to make you a better person. So, with that being said, we also have to understand that we date for the sakes of something greater, not just to date. That was another point that we made, that you'd never date for the sakes of dating. Just like no one has money for the sakes of having money, to hang on the wall and to just keep it but not use it. We don't date for the sake of dating. We date for something greater. Never understand a date as a date only. Does that make sense? The goal is not just the date. If it is, what's going to happen eventually is that someone's going to be used. It has to be done in a way where I'm actually dating for a greater purpose. My goal isn't just the date, I'm dating for marriage eventually. Make sense? Those are very important rules that Judaism is founded on. Now, people can argue, people can say different, I don't agree, I don't like it. It's true, but we have something very strong with us, and that's called experience and things that actually proof. It's realistic proof that it works. The divorce rate is so high out there. And within the Jewish community, there's certain things that we do that really keeps it. Now, I'm not saying that everyone's in the religious community, that everyone stays married. Divorce is actually something which is a mitzvah. That's true. But it's not that we do not have problems within our own community. But it's not the problem of Judaism. It may be the problem of the relationship or the lack of Judaism. Okay? Anyway, that's another whole discussion, but those important fundamentals are needed to even be able to continue, and I'm sorry I even spent so much time on this. Okay, so there was a question last week that I want to go straight to, and it was a question that I wrote on the other side, okay? I want to go straight to this question because I think it's an important question, and I'm going to ask you all what you think. Should you date somebody? Here was the question. If you date somebody that's involved in a Jewish organization that you really like. So, you come to Aishlit. And by the way, for someone who's first time here, this is totally weird. Like, I come into this house. And this is the first class this rabbi's talking about. Is this what all classes are like in this house? I'm never coming back.
Everyone look to your left and then look to your right. Make a decision.
People you're going to marry.
No. There are thousands of Jews.
One of the people.
Okay, but if you find somebody you really like in a Jewish organization that you like, okay, so you find somebody that you really like in a Jewish organization that you like, is there a worry that if it doesn't work out, maybe I'm now going to lose everybody else a chance to go out with any of that person's friends?
Yeah. Can you clarify how, if it's one date?
Was it a few dates or was it like a long-term relationship?
Yeah.
Well, it gets, obviously, I'm talking about a situation where you're going out with somebody and it gets nice, it gets serious. You know, you liked each other. Gunnar, come back. What did I say? Anyway, I'm joking. Right? It gets great. So what do you do?
Basically,
I'm not talking to you, Gunnar, I promise.
Take a vote.
What? Erez, what were you saying?
No.
Okay, so these are the questions. I actually wrote it on the back of this page. We're not going to go there yet, but I wrote it on the back here. Okay, number 1. Should you date a person involved in Aishlit or a Jewish organization? Right? One of the concerns is that if it doesn't work out, then no other mutual friend will happen to date you. What can be done to avoid this?
Don't date.
But that's a very big mistake, right? Should you date somebody because you're worried Is that a smart answer? Because you're worried of what people should say or how things will work out? Should that be a consideration?
I mean, like, do you mean in an ideal world, or do you mean in the real world that we live in?
Yeah, in an ideal world.
It's the wrong person altogether. If you're worried about what other people think, then you don't care enough to even go out with them.
No, it's not the point. It's not the point.
Dan, explain the question.
The question is like, should you not date someone because you think that if you date them, that it's gonna ruin your chances with everyone else, right?
Yes.
But the fact that you're thinking about it ruining your chances with everyone else means that you're already...
Okay, I'm sorry.
Wait, what are you saying? Wait, explain.
The fact that you're already thinking about the other means internally, like subconsciously, you already think there won't be a chance.
No, they're just scared it's gonna be awkward in the future.
Okay, but that's a different question than dating their friends.
Wait, is he not being realistic? Did every date work out 100%?
If you date somebody that goes here, you're gonna see them every week.
Yeah,
The question is if it's gonna be awkward, right?
It'll be awkward.
Or do you want to date their friends?
The questions with the friends.
Is it like if they're dating someone and then it gets really serious and they break up, then I want to date that person, then I can't, and we're all here today.
Unless dating is an open idea.
See?
Are you asking about always or dating
you're
the
supposed to be
friends?
setting people you went out with.
Dating mutual friends.
Except you're supposed to be setting people you went out with up with your friends. So it actually, like, if everyone's mature enough to think about it in the right way, and like, if you date someone, it doesn't work out, you still want them to end up with someone and get married. So you should be supportive of that.
Open
So
mind.
everyone that's like the mentality.
So now my question is, how do we go about making sure that we avoid that fear? So you've got a great answer, obviously, which is make sure you leave off in a good note. But how can we make sure that we will leave off in a good note? So this is my question to you. You know what? I'm going to leave you for 1 or 2 minutes just to think out this question, okay? I think it's really important. So the question again is, if I find somebody in a Jewish organization and I like going to that Jewish organization, not necessarily only here, should I be worried that I will now narrow my chances of dating anybody else by going out with this person?
You're not a good person when you like end it, or if you ghost the person at the end, and I don't know.
So okay, so what can we do? Now wait a second. Should you be worried? Yes or no?
Realistic.
Is this an important worry? Should you be worried? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Should this be a concern that stops you from ever dating anybody that's no?
I think it shouldn't be a concern, but it's gonna make the person uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it is a
Naturally.
It's a reality that it would be that the person will feel uncomfortable. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, obviously you should never care what other people think, and you shouldn't go into it with like wrong intentions or expectations that it's not gonna work. But the reality of it is that it should be somewhat of a consideration just in the world that we live in. And you may be okay with it, but other people sometimes don't think of it the same way. And yes, I agree to an extent that that person may not be the person for you if they think that way, but it's kind of like human nature, I feel like, a lot of times, where they're like, oh, because they dated like one of my close friends or like someone I know, I don't want to upset my friend and I don't want to cross the line because I respect my friend enough to where I don't want to hurt their feelings.
It's girls.
So you're saying it's girls too.
I just don't see any guys like.
Listen, you know what? I'm going to give you a few minutes. Think it out, talk it out, and we'll come up with not just a response, but how should you go about, not just a response, but a solution. I need solutions. What is the solution? Okay? So I want you to come out with something much more concrete. So what was your solution?
Have the right mentality.
Go for it. Menachem.
So I'll speak on behalf of our 4-team partnership here. What happened was this. we connected a few things. One, we found out that it's the awkwardness of seeing them again. You'll automatically notice them when they walk in the room because you had something special with them or whatever it was. You had an extra moment with them they didn't have with anybody else in the room.
Okay.
So we realized
it's natural, you say.
It's a natural physical, like you're gonna have that feeling no matter what you do with yourself.
If it doesn't work out.
If it doesn't work out. What we realized is we tied in your ghosting idea. We tied in the idea
ghosting.
of...
Oh no.
We're tied in. Watch this.
Great idea.
What did you say?
If you end it maturely, then there's nothing to feel like awkward about.
So we tied in that as well as we tied in, what did you say? Intent and communication.
Okay.
So those three things we tied in and we said, if you don't ghost them, which is not mature, which is an immature thing to do, right? You don't like them, you speak up about it. Then you have to have the right intention. You have to communicate, hey, it didn't really work out on my end or it didn't work out on your end. And that way, when you see them, you already spoke about it. You know where you stand, and you're okay to see each other again in the room. You openly spoke about it. So I feel like it's more about
So
how
you said,
ends.
wait a second.
So idealistic.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous story.
We can't control, you know, like if someone just feels really hurt by how something ended, even if it was very
But
similar.
you shouldn't feel hurt though.
Oh,
If one person wanted to be with the other one and the other person didn't, and that's why it ended.
boys.
Now we talked about abandonment.
It's going to.
If openly they both disagreed with dating.
No, what she's saying is one person.
One person wanted the relationship to work, and the other one said that it wasn't gonna work.
Yeah. That sucks. That's always how it is.
So even if you're
Okay, one, it's going to be a challenge. And then you just came with a bunch of solutions.
like I said,
Someone's into it, it makes sense. If someone's into it and one's not, then
Okay.
we didn't get to there yet.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah, Erez.
One thing that we talked about was also a shift in the mentality going into it in the first place, of going into it with like the kind of the mature, expectation or hope that it will work out rather than the fear that it won't work out. That little shift in thinking about things will actually just like help kind of resolve. And then you deal with, obviously, like if it doesn't work out, then you deal with that situation as it arises, but it shouldn't prevent you from going for it if like your goal is to find the one, right?
I'm saying like if you're here talking to them, you kind of have more of like an inclination.
They're saying don't think of the consequence. Why are you thinking of the consequence when it's not yet happened? You're going to a date now, take it fully. And if it's not going to work, that's another situation. There's another thing to worry about. But for now, it's going to work.
I disagree with that. I think you're always a responsible person. You need to think of the consequence of the things you do. So I feel like even, doesn't matter if then it works out or not, but you cannot love a person 100% fully if you don't know what's going to happen if it doesn't work. Because there's always
a chance.
Exactly. The people work for years and it didn't work. So
It's true.
You need to know that
they're all true.
What I'm saying
if
is
something happened, it's gonna be fine because if
what we're saying is if you go in with you shouldn't let that
prophecy.
you shouldn't let that prevent you from going for it in the first place. You should have a game plan for when you go for it, and if it doesn't work out, then you can handle it in a mature way. But you shouldn't let it prevent you in the first place.
So like the fear.
So if someone's concerned with that, they should know how
Except
much
for Dan. Dan, you should let it prevent you.
Okay, there's many answers. I don't want to, because there's too many things. I just want to give you a solution, a tip, okay? And I think that the tip is extreme caution in this situation, but it's really to teach you a lesson in all situations, not just in this. And the tip is, take a lot of caution. If you do make that decision, your concern is a good concern. But go with that concern and take a lot of caution in not getting too intimately involved emotionally, especially, not just physically, emotionally, especially physically, but even emotionally. Meaning, not that it's a draining type of dating kind of a relationship where there's 10 times of a message a day or for no reason at all or things like that. Meaning take it in a very well-paced and thoughtful manner. And if that's done, it will end up, if you realize within the right amount of time, you will get to that realization even before having to go any further if this person really is for you. Because at the beginning, it's just to see. at the beginning is just to know if this person is for me. Once I actually get attracted to them, right, not just by their look, but by who they really are, that's another whole story. But at the beginning, definitely in this case, there should be a lot of pacing in the sense of not getting too emotionally involved with the person. Does that make sense?
The thing is,
yes.
The thing is, there are times, like you see it in movies all the time. You know, where you see that one girl, like, oh my gosh, she's the one. I'm so nervous. And you go for it, and if it works out, you're like, dreams come true. And it might not be happening for her. And then the next date, she wants to drop it, or the 30, she wants to drop it. But you already go in there with like, she's the dream girl. You know?
Right, so that's a miss.
Already causing that emotional whatever.
You're not being idealistic. No.
Well, I believe that's the movie world that's getting into our brain, which is telling us that this is what love is all about. It's, I'm attracted to someone, I need them now. I need them now. This is like food. She's my food. He's my food, right? It doesn't work like that, and it won't work like that. And by the age that we're in, a person should realize that that's not how things work. Not just because of attraction, but that's just how it just doesn't work that way, right? As a 16, 15-year-old, maybe it does, you know, and in college, in high school, so then it does. Not that our system doesn't work that way. Our system very much does work that way, but I'm saying that at the end of the day, a person does realize that I really need to speak to them and hear them and get to know them to really understand if they're for me. And remember, our approach should always be, I'm not dating just to date. If I'm dating just to date, yes, then when I go out with this person, I'm going to feel that way. I just want to, have a good time. But if my approach is, I'm not dating today, I'm actually dating to really see if this is the one, things will change. Okay? Those movies are not about dating to marriage. They're about dating to have, I don't know. Okay? Okay.
Immediate. Don't ask the rabbi.
To put them to sleep. Okay. So that's really the idea. I want to go further because we've got a lot to cover and we don't have time. But there's things to talk about. So I was up to red flags. Let's give out the sheets. Yes. Take.
Is this the same as last?
Same, but I've added stuff at the back. Okay, take.
Just split them.
Take. Sorry. Didn't give us. Take. Okay. We're up to red flags. It's on the first page on the top right. Red flags. Okay, so you're going out with this dude or person or thing. Depends how you treat them. Did you want to ask me? Did you want to ask me a question before? Okay. So, did you get a paper? Here, this one. Not that one, not those.
Sorry.
Take them. Okay. Question: why is it so hard to see obvious red flags? Why is it so difficult to find a red flag? That person's not for you, says your grandma, says your grandpa, says your great grandfather, right? In the grave. Right? That person's not for you, says everybody and anybody. And you all know it, you know it. So why is it so difficult for us to see a red flag?
Fear of being alone.
Fear of being alone. We don't want to see it, we ignore it. Okay? So that's a good one. I didn't even add it here, but that's a very important idea. We don't want to see it. Okay? Out of fear. Too much text here. Okay, why else?
Too much benefit of the doubt.
Too much benefit of the doubt, yes. Why would you give so much benefit of the doubt?
Because you're emotionally
and physically attracted to them.
Okay, so attraction. So you know what? Let's just do attraction. Make sense? Okay, why else? What?
You're comfortable.
You're comfortable? So, what do you say is to do with the first one? You don't want to leave out fear from being alone?
No, I think just to make comfortable zone, like you are.
Like you have some like alleys and everything with this person, so you don't want to like.
You want to change things.
You overlook the red flags because it's comfortable.
Oh, okay, so it's comfort. Okay, comfortable right now. Okay, anything else? Why is it so difficult to see a red flag?
You're too close to the situation.
I'm too close. I'm emotionally involved. Maybe that's to do with attraction.
Like you need an objective point of view.
You need an objective point of view. Isn't that important? Yeah. Who is it?
Love is blind.
Love is blind. Infatuation, right? It blinds us. Anything else?
Maybe they're giving you something that you want, but not something that you need.
What do you mean?
You know, like there are things that are actually ultimately important to you, but you're getting maybe some sort of instant gratification from them, or something that is holding you up. It kind of
there's some good things that you want.
Things that we
yeah.
put there, but
right. Exactly.
They fit your ideal, but they don't fit your actual reality.
or maybe you haven't thought about what your ideal is, and so it's kind of like you can't recognize a red flag or a negative if you don't know what it is that you're looking for.
Or on the opposite hand, you're willing to accept, as long as they check certain boxes, you're gonna disregard all the other bad stuff. You're just gonna be like, oh well, they still do this, this, and this, so I guess it's okay, and you justify
Give and take.
Yeah.
things.
You justify because of certain things that you like. So I wrote 2 things here. Number 1 is no one is perfect, and we understand that no one's perfect. So which means that whenever I see someone, what is a red flag? I mean, is everyone perfect? Everyone has flaws. Everyone has mistakes. No one's 100%. So I see that they're a bit stingy, or I see that they're a bit uncomfortable in basic, normal situation, right? So but some people are also like that. I see there are many things that people have flaws in. No one's 100% perfect. So that makes it very difficult for us to find a red flag. Okay? So what do we need? And that was what someone else said, was we need an objective opinion. Judaism's very much into having an objective opinion. Now that's very dangerous. Why is it dangerous to have an objective opinion? Can you open the window for me? We need somebody else that is involved who can help us. We very much believe in speaking it out with somebody, maybe a therapist, maybe a friend. Maybe a friend. Speak to someone. Why do you think Judaism is so into having an objective opinion?
It is or isn't.
What?
It is or isn't.
It is. Judaism wants you to have
Because Judaism's logical. It wants us to make things to live our lives in a way that makes sense.
Exactly. When I'm emotionally involved and I don't actually have the ability to think out of my box, I am stuck and I'm not thinking in the right way. The same way I can give somebody else advice, I can't give myself the same advice. We are amazing at giving everybody else advice, and the good advice, right? A therapist can give therapy and help to everybody else, but not to themselves. They need a therapist too. Isn't that interesting? So I believe that one of the main things is to have an objective opinion. Number 2 is we get clouded with infatuation. This is literal. That's why I say this is the term that's used. We get clouded with infatuation. There's certain things that I am really attracted to. There's certain things that touches me, and I get clouded from it, okay? So what is the tip? Avoid physical bond before complete emotional bond. Okay, according to Judaism, we actually don't have any physical intimate bond until marriage. In an ideal world, there's no absolute physical bond until marriage. What does that teach me? Now, I know that many people will look at me as if that's crazy, that is insane, but what is that message trying to teach me? What does that teach me? Can you imagine being able to look at somebody and not have that touch that's involved within you? What does that do?
It validates how you actually feel.
It shows how you actually feel. It lets you think. The minute that you have touch, is the minute you say, wow, this feels so great, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to, right? I'm loving the attraction. I'm having so much comfort. I don't want to go out of fear. So touch actually blinds us. It's not that love is blind. It's that lust is blind. Okay? Love doesn't make us blind. Love opens our eyes very much to many things. Lust blinds us to many things. It blinds us from many things. Doesn't let us see the other side. It's, oh, this feels so great. This feels so great, especially at the beginning. And it could take a few years till I realize, oh, what a waste, right? What a waste of time. So that's why, according to Judaism, it's very important to make sure you get as far as you can with an emotional connection before you get into a physical connection with somebody. Make sense? Okay, the less intimate you are, the less clouded you will be. This will allow you to be more observant of the other person, of who the person really is. Okay, sorry, I wrote this quickly. 2 red flags. Now, what are red flags? Okay, what's a red flag to everybody? What's a red flag?
Drug addiction.
Drug addiction. Right? What are the red flags? What? Disrespectful. Anger.
I went through a meth addict.
What?
I went through a meth addict phase.
No relationship with family. What?
It was like only one meth addict.
Maybe their family's abusive.
It was tiresome. Like the week-long vendors were really the...
In general? Okay, we are saying 2 universal. Every case is different. But here are the 2 points that I think are very important. Number 1 is obviously we said last week, which is attraction. Okay? 1 is attraction. Am I attracted to the person or not? Okay? And number 2,
Are they kind?
are they? No, that's a reason to go out with them more. What's a red flag? So now that I've gone out with them 5 or 6 times, suddenly they did something which is like, no, that's it. They pulled the trigger. Right? What is that pulling of the trigger?
They were rude.
Cheating.
What do you mean by they were rude?
Bad behavior.
If you're rude to a server, if you're telling them, hey, come here, instead of being like, hey, excuse me, like being polite and nice and kind. Yeah.
To somebody that's in their way. They're very rude to somebody that's in their way. Okay.
Listen to how he talks to his mother.
Mm.
If he's bossy or rude to his mom, or telling her what to do, whatever, that's a red flag.
Okay, so let's read.
His mother with love and kindness.
It takes a while to see him when you're his mother.
Just on the phone, and he's like, Mom, what are you calling about? Did you do my laundry for me? Red flag.
What do you think? Red flag? Not ambitious? What do you mean?
Like if they're
Marguerite.
I think if they're not ambitious, if they're not going anywhere, if they lay about, if they're not interested in, all they want is your attention, but they can't be by themselves or do something for themselves.
They just do nothing.
Because that's A, clingy, it leads to toxicity, and also like personally, I'm ambitious. There's places I'm gonna be. I expect you to be there too.
Like if somebody's not full of life, they're just in bed all day and all night. That's boring.
They're looking at you as happiness. They want you to make them
Right,
happy.
they want you to make them happy. They can't make themselves happy.
Then they don't have life within them.
There should be equal footing.
I think
Yes.
also inconsistency or like lack of their own kind of seriousness or commitment. Like you can pick up on signs. I think if someone isn't interested in the same way that you are, you should probably
Like they're going consistently in a different direction in values, in
views,
views.
with respect to with respect to the relationship itself, like
Lack of communication.
lack of communication, or like lack of commitment to the relationship.
Well, don't you think that that's a moment where you should just speak it out? We're dating. Isn't that something we should have a communication? Is that a red flag? Okay, that's it. Oh, you didn't answer me? I'm not talking to you. That's it, we're done.
Well, is a red flag? Are you saying red flag means you run the other direction right away?
Red flag means that you
ignore it. Red flag is something that you should not ignore.
It means delete. Red flag means delete.
Red flag means I'm going to tell them I'm sorry, we've dated now for 7 times, 8 times, but right? You don't say that part, but you
You're
say
saying red flag
we
means
are not for each other.
cut and run.
Cut and run. We are not for each other.
Between
In a
words and
respectful way. What?
A misalignment between words and actions.
So what do you mean?
A yellow
Like if
flag.
someone,
He's not true. He's not true.
yeah, well, if
It's not
someone
integral?
like says like, oh, I care about you so much, I want to see you all the time, or like I really want to be with you, and then like show nothing to like actually support that, or say like I want to. Like this thing is important for you, so I want to be a part of it, and then like it doesn't show.
But isn't that
Just like
something that you talk
saying
through?
things.
Because that's not more of a yellow flag thing. Because you talk through
But if it's
that with the person.
consistent.
Very different from like
That's true,
an
okay.
abusive.
So all of these points. Let's go through the points.
Talking to the person about it. There's an extent. If you keep talking to the person about it and keep telling them over and over again that this is what you need out of the relationship, or if they keep telling you that they're going to give that to you over and over again, but they constantly are telling you
That's a red
that they're and
Yeah.
constantly not doing it back, then yeah, that's a huge red flag. If it's like one time thing, then it's fine.
If you can't tell, they used to
I said first.
Sorry, I can't say things different.
Okay, so let me tell you what I wrote. Okay, this is a universal red flag. That means that everything else can be worked
I
on.
didn't hear that part, I'm sorry.
You do not pull the plug unless you have these universal. These are universal. That means in an individual level, there's other things. But as a universal thing, these are things that you have to look out for, okay? Number one is if they lose attraction, and number bless you. Or number two is there's current unhealthy or dangerous behavior. Now I wrote down a list of them. I think these are all very important. Number one, strong animosity towards those closest to them. Okay, so not just that they are talking unfairly to their parents, but I think that there's another, because there could be a different story. You have to find out what the real story is there. I think that's terrible, but it may not be a red flag yet. I think that the absolute red flag is if they tell you how they hate their parents. My parents are the worst people, and you're having a conversation with them, or they tell you about their brother or their sister or somebody that's close to them. He's an absolute jerk. He's such a weirdo, and you're like, that's your brother, right? That's your sister. That's your mom. She grew you up. She gave birth to you. So if there's hate, and that's actually something which I look out for, as a rabbi, and Shira looks out for as well. When we meet people, I'm not dating them, and I meet guys. But when we actually meet, when we meet people, what we do is we actually see if they have certain hate towards those closest to them. Because if they do, they're not people that we can help or really provide. They need professional help. They need therapy. They need some real professional help. Somebody who clearly shows a lot of hate towards publicly, at least to somebody they're dating. Hate towards somebody that's close to them is a very bad and dangerous sign. That means that there's something wrong that they have that they need to work on. Now, I know that some people have been in their own situations in times that they've been upset with their parents, and they've said things that they were upset with them because they're with them all the time. That makes sense, okay? But I'm talking about when you're with somebody outside there and you talk in a way of hate which is very extreme to those that are close to you, you have to understand that that's actually a bad sign. It's not a healthy sign. So that's a very, by the way, that doesn't mean that if your parents are cruel or doing something wrong, you shouldn't go and get help. That doesn't mean that you should, right, this is a different situation. I'm not trying to get help from the girl that I'm dating about my parents. It's just out of conversation. They're talking about absolute hate. So that doesn't make sense. Number two, disproportionate reaction to obstructions. They are driving and they're trying to park, and then all of a sudden someone parked before them. What the heck? Gets out of his car. He's like, you idiot, you're going, right? Calm down, right? Anger. But anger to what? Any kind of obstruction that gets in my way. The waiter, as I'm dating, look out. If there's any anger or disproportionate reaction to somebody if let's say someone comes up to you and spits in your face and says, hey, Jew boy, right? And then does a Hitler salute and then tries to hit you, and you see that he's getting really upset and he tries to defend himself, and you're like, that's a red flag, right? Well, no, it's not a red flag. The guy has to defend himself, and actually I would think that's very attractive, right? So Especially if he takes down the Nazi, that would be very nice. So, okay, so disproportionate reaction, that's why I wrote disproportionate. It has to be in proportion to what's happening to you. Okay, if you see a cone in the way as you're walking on a date, and you're holding your cup, and she's holding her cup, and then he gets the cone, he's like, this is in my way, kicks it, throws it across the street, and then crosses the street, smashes it, That is disproportionate reaction to something which is it's a cone. Calm down, okay? What? Okay, so does that make sense?
What you're talking about, that's actually a good point though. Like, you're talking about very extreme examples.
To give you an idea
right, no, but I'm saying,
of disproportionate.
No, I understand, but I'm saying, if we're trying to identify a red flag, where...
So if they're boundary line, you ask yourself, okay, wait a second.
What's the threshold?
What's the threshold? Okay, so he didn't take the cone and throw it across the street, but you were walking nicely, it was on a second date, right? You were just having a good conversation, everything was great, but he took the cone and just threw it. He took the cone and threw it across... So you're like, whoa, that was kind of weird, right? You shouldn't have, it's only a cone, whatever, just walk around it, okay? So there's something which is maybe borderline, so you have to take that into account. Now, I'm not saying...
you feel like is disproportionate beyond what you're comfortable with. Or
exactly, yes.
What if they were having a bad day? What if they lost millions of dollars that day?
No problem.
That's the cone's fault.
They let it out on the cone.
Yeah, it's better than on the date, right? Better than letting out on the date.
What if the girl or the boy, they get really frustrated because they weren't able to find a parking spot, and they start cursing under their breath?
That is something to take note of. That's a
realistic example.
That's a realistic example.
Everybody in LA.
Don't blacklist.
That is not a red flag, but meaning it's something to take note of because it's borderline.
Someone can have road rage.
Because maybe it's not disproportionate. Maybe he was driving around 20 times, right? And they tried to make the date at 7 o'clock in the restaurant, and you're driving around the restaurant 20 times and still couldn't find a parking place. So, you can see some kind of frustration. Is it disproportionate? You need to have time where you're thinking these questions out with yourself. Disproportionate reactions to obstructions. Okay? Actively unloyal and lack of integrity. Make sense?
Yes.
Right? If he's with you and then you find out on Facebook that there's a very, casual looking picture of him hanging out with somebody else on a couch, right? It doesn't make sense. Or maybe it was someone else who tagged him and you're like, aha! Okay. Actively unloyal. Number 4 is lack of integrity. What does lack of integrity mean? Why is that different than being unloyal? Lack of self-respect, but I think it's, what I understood is it's really, they're not true. They're just not, the things that they're saying is, you can really see that there's no truth in their communication.
They're held by their stated values.
There's no consistency to the values. So now these, I would say that if it's extreme, that's a red flag. But obviously these are things that need to be thought out again. So number 5 was substance abuse. Okay, is there substance abuse? Some people might say cigarette smoking is substance abuse. Some people say too much alcohol. And I think it's true. You can smell it in his breath or whatever. Okay? So, or you can smell the smell of weed. That happens in my house when people come in. Right? So, tip. It's true. So, when alone, this is my tip to finding out if there's unhealthy or dangerous behavior, because this is what you should be looking out for, is when alone, write down concerns, because that way you have your own time to think about it, or maybe not write it down, but just really think about these things to see if there are signs of unhealthy or dangerous behavior. Really important. Okay, those are 2 things. Unhealthy or dangerous behavior. And if they're going to be unhealthy to you when they're dating, when they should be on a good act, then all the more so when you're living together, it will only get more crazy. Make sense? Once you're comfortable, those things glorify. You're like, oh my goodness. I mean, last time was the cone across the street. Now you smashed the other person's window with the cone. Right, whatever. So,
Don't take care of it.
okay, so challenges of breaking up, how to break up. Oh, very important. I wrote here how to break up. How do you think? If it didn't work out, you're not made for each other. Okay? But not only did you're not made for each other, you actually got very close. Okay? I'm talking about a case where you were dating, you got close. And you had real arguments. Bad ones. Heavy ones. Okay? And it didn't work out. And you want to eventually let go. Let it go. So what do you do?
Cold turkey.
Cold turkey, exactly. Really important, okay? No Valentine random message 2 years later. Hey, will you be my Valentine? Right? Or no random message. Yeah, especially like that. That's what you do when you're alone practicing on your keyboard. And then, whatever. So, but no, will you be my Valentine 2 years later or a few months later saying, hey, how are you doing? You know, I've been thinking of you. I saw a store which had Sarah clothing. It said Sarah's clothing for sale. And I was like, whoa, that's a sign. And I sent you a message. So, okay, none of that stuff. It's really important, if it didn't work once, to understand that it most likely won't work again. Mm-hmm. Now, there is something to say though. What happens if maybe you should give yourselves another chance? Is there ever, this is a big question, is there ever a moment where you should give yourselves another chance?
Yeah, like if you're long distance or something and then that didn't work out and now you live in the same city.
Right, if it was, let's say, because you were in long distance. But let's say, the question I'm saying is, you were together and it didn't work out because you really got into fights for different views, different ideology, different values. It really, the way she was talking, the way he was talking, it really didn't get along.
I think you need to address those things before you invest yourself again.
Address those things first. But when should you consider, I was saying go cold turkey. When should you consider, when should you at least consider going back with that person again? What do you think?
There really wasn't anything wrong. You were just in two different places in your life.
Well, if I'm asking if there really was something wrong, like there was something wrong it wasn't like you were too far away, there was really an argument.
You ran into each other at Taco Tuesday, you start talking.
And then what?
And then you're like, oh, maybe that person has changed because they've been attending your classes and they learned about how to be in a relationship. And
they're a polished person.
Okay, so I believe that there's two things. Number one is that you have to, like you said originally, you have to talk it out in order to get back together again. But what's most important is, has there been a change in time and place? Okay? So the last time we were dating was before college. Okay, fine. I know why we got into a fight then. Okay, now we're a bit more mature. Okay, we're both working. I can say I've seen people that were in college, involved with us in college, and they were involved with us after college, different people. Same person, but whilst they're working, they just change. Okay, so when you were in high school dating that person, it could be it didn't work then, but now that there's been a change in your life, there's been a shift in where you are at in life, now you should at least, or you could at least go through another chance. But if you're both in the same position, living in the same place, not changing in any way, posting the same posts on Facebook, and living the same lifestyle, eating the same food, then most likely you shouldn't make that move. Because you're just missing how you're forgetting. What happens is you forget all the problems and you remember how great the good things were. And that's a big problem. So the only way to get back is to speak about it, speak about those problems, see if there's change, and also see if there's a change in the time. of where you're living. Okay. What is love? Should we go through that? Do you want to know? What is love? Question. What's the difference between love and attraction?
Love is deep.
Love is real.
Attraction's real. Okay. 1 second.
Love is kindness.
What? Love. Attraction. Okay, what do you say?
I think attraction is something that you're in, like, attraction is like you're thinking about what this person could do for you and how that like, satisfies you.
For me.
Love is more for them, how
For them.
you want them to be better. You want things for them. You want to be a part of their lives because you
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Killing it. It's twice in a row. Okay. Yes.
It's just internal versus external.
Okay, internal. You think love can't be external as well?
Attraction can't be internal.
Well, attraction.
What was the main source? Like,
Without love.
Maybe you're saying both. Okay? Internal and external versus external only.
Yeah.
Okay. You could be attracted to the internal, no? To the personality, to who they are.
Alright, fine, take it off the board.
No, okay.
Just scoot over to the right a little bit.
Go, what were you saying? No. You come sit here right now. That's the problem. Sit here. Yeah, what were you saying, Amanda?
Attraction is fleeting, love is eternal.
Wow. Is it?
No.
Does love stay forever?
I think there's a difference between in love and loving someone.
Ooh.
There's a difference.
In love and loving. Yes.
Okay, attraction is physical or emotional. And love is physical and emotional.
That's good.
It's a physical, like love is you're loving them physically and emotionally. You're loving them with your whole heart and everything that you have.
That's my fault.
Attraction is either physical, you have a physical attraction to them, or you have an emotional attraction, and usually it doesn't go beyond.
but it goes both ways, but the question where it starts.
Yeah.
Love starts from the inside and goes outside. And
So would you say that it's all under internal versus external?
Would you say like love is like unconditional and attraction is conditional?
Okay, yes.
I like that.
And what about
I want to be attracted to you, but I couldn't still love you. I can love who you are, but I also may not be in love with you.
one is also immediate. Attraction is immediate.
What?
Attraction is immediate reaction.
Ooh. You hear that one? Shh. Attraction is immediate. Love isn't necessarily
It
immediate.
takes time.
No love at first sight.
But sometimes you can build attraction like through love. That makes sense.
Okay, so
But not from zero. So when you become attracted to them versus that initial like you're attracted to them.
Sorry, that's not from zero. Like if you really had zero to them,
Yeah, you can.
you can't create something that wasn't there. You can.
she was saying if you're repulsed by the person.
No attraction, you're not gonna
Yeah,
fall
like
in
there's
love.
either you are or like you're not. You're like fine.
Okay.
You can build on attraction.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that. Like,
Famous
look, I love my siblings, but if I wasn't related to them, I'd have nothing.
famous example that every rabbi uses, it's brought from the Michtav Meliau, is do you love fish? You remember that one?
I've heard of that.
Do you remember love fish? Do you love fish? Okay. Have you heard this before?
I heard this one. I heard this.
Okay.
Very good.
If somebody says, I love fish, do they really love fish?
Get my good side.
Do they love fish? I just ate fish today at Fish Grill. If you love fish, do you really love it?
We overuse the word love.
Exactly. If you love fish, what would you do to it?
You would keep it and cherish it.
You'd keep it, you'd feed it.
You'd smoke it. Ashkenaz like they love fish.
What do you,
We smoke salmon. We smoke.
yeah, smoke
Pickle it.
it.
Keep
Pickle
it
it.
longer.
If you love fish, you wouldn't eat it and put it on a plate right in front of you and cut through it, right? You would feed it and look after it. Okay, so loving fish is not really what you love. It's what? What is it that you really love when you say you love fish?
The feeling that you get.
The feeling. I love myself. I love how it tastes. I love how it makes me feel. So what we use the word love too often, and we use many words too often, like awesome, dope, right? No, awesome, right? The word awesome is used too much also. Awesome, like awesome, right? That's a word we use all the time. There's words today, genius. I mean, come on, you just put a pen together and you're like, genius, right? We use these words a lot in order to express our feelings and our emotion to something. We exaggerate certain words, and one of them is love. Love is put into every song, and it's almost, this is exact reason, this is such an obvious concept, but we get so stuck in the word that we've really confused the word love for lust. Okay, so love isn't how it makes me feel. When I eat the fish, what I really care about is myself. Okay, but if I really care about fish, I would actually feed it and nurture it. So what is real love? That doesn't mean that I neglect myself. Okay, because Pamela had her hand up. I know that that's the question. Love is unconditional. It's true that love is unconditional, but that does not mean that love is blind. I love my child unconditionally, but that doesn't mean that I just let them do whatever they want and run in the street and put their hands in the electricity and do dangerous things, okay? So love can be unconditional, but it's not blind. I don't let them hurt me. If I love somebody so much, it doesn't mean that I'm now vulnerable and they could do whatever they want for me. I just give, and they can just hurt me, okay? That is not love. So I agree that when I was saying love is, when you eat fish, you love really yourself by the taste of it. That's true. You love the taste of it. It's not you really loving yourself. If you love somebody, part of it is being in love with yourself as well. Okay? But I do not believe that you should completely disconnect yourself from love. But it's very important. This is the concept that I have written here, because people get this very confused. Love is an attachment. Okay? That is what love is. It's the attachment that I have around with me. Even if I'm not with that person, I feel attached. The minute that there's an unlawful situation in the relationship, I feel a detachment. It's this feeling of oneness with someone. That oneness is so one that it's you are me, I am you. It's, your pain is my pain. It's obvious. When I eat, I'm hungry, you're hungry, it's my hunger. When you're hungry, I feel hungry for you. Right? That's love, not literally, but I feel what you feel with you. That's the oneness of love. Love is not about how it makes me feel only. It's the, what did I say here? It's the actual attachment that I feel. It's the feeling of attachment that I have with me. Okay? Love is about you, lust is about me. Is there ever such a thing as love at first sight, according to what I said?
No. How can you be attached to something just upon first sight?
Exactly. If attachment is what love is, if love is unconditional, how can you have unconditional at the first moment? So what is happening at first sight?
Except for, what about a child?
What?
What about a child?
A child's different, because the love that you have for the child, right, is not reciprocal. It's a different type of love. It's the same, the love is the same, that you just want to give to that child.
Attached.
You are attached, but that's an immediate thing that you automatically have. It's inbuilt within you, right? Even before, because at the end of the day, that child is part of you. It's just an
first sight with a child. I mean, unless it's adoption, when you're having a child, whether you're the father or the mother, if you're there for the growth and pre-birth.
Exactly, an adoption.
In the well-being of the mother, and therefore you're developing a relationship with the child just because you haven't seen the child.
Right, so if let's say you're adopting someone, so then I would say that's more of a type of love that you have to develop, okay? But when you have a child, there's no first sight. When's the first sight? It's part of you. It's an inbuilt intuition within you, and it's not reciprocal, meaning the child doesn't actually feel the amount of love that you feel for the child. The parent loves a child way more than the child loves the parent. You know that. You know why? Because the parent is always giving much more. From before birth already, the parent is giving so much to the child, that automatically gives you that feeling of love. And by the way, in Hebrew, the word for ahava is to give. It comes from the root have, which means to give. You don't give to someone you love someone that you give. Okay? You don't give to someone you love someone that you give. Does that make sense? If you give to them, you'll feel more love for them. Okay, so love is something that is an attachment. It's about you. Lust is about me. So what's really at first sight? Not love at first sight. What's really at first sight? Lust. Or me, myself. Right? My feeling is at first sight. Okay? It feels great for me. Now that's important, but it's not love. Okay. The Talmud says like this: any love that's dependent on a cause, if you remove the cause, you remove the love. What do you think the cause is? The physicality, the ego, the honor, all the other stuff besides for the attachment. Okay, so anything that's dependent on anything else besides for that attachment is not really love. And the minute you take it away, you lose it. For instance, somebody gets unattractive. They come unattractive to you because, I'll give you an example, okay? I know somebody who was married for a few years, and then his wife had a terrible accident, and she had to have half of her face. She had to go through an operation and have skin put onto her face. And she was a very, very beautiful person, still is a beautiful person. And as soon as that happened, guess what happened? No, they stayed married and they're still married till today. And this is a very healthy and normal looking couple in Israel, somebody that I know, and they are still married till today. What does that tell you? It's true love. What would happen if it was on the first love at first sight? Right? Do you see how unworthy that person really is to someone at first sight? If you see someone at first sight and they lose their look suddenly, they are nothing for me. That person has nothing to me. I never felt an attachment. Lust has no attachment at all. All I'm attached to is myself. And if that person loses that look, I have no interest in that person at all. How scary is that? Okay, when there's a real relationship after many years, you start saying, I don't care what happens to this person. No matter what happens, I'm with this person because I know who they really are. I'm with them for who they really are. I'm attached to them. Yes.
So we've talked about how attraction is an essential thing, at least in the beginning.
To getting you together.
But what you're saying is that for keeping you together, it's not really a factor.
It's definitely important. It's definitely a factor. It can definitely maintain every single aspect in the relationship can help. There's no question about it that if you wake up every day to someone that you're attracted to, it helps. I guess what
I was saying is it's initially it's a necessary condition.
Exactly.
Whereas later on it's not.
Exactly. Initially, attraction is absolutely unconditional. Later on, it's not because love takes over. Okay? You need to always be attractive to each other as time goes on. It's important to always remain attracted, but at the end of the day, it's important. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So, Ish v'isha. Okay, we're going to finish off last thing, and then next week we'll continue. What? Okay, last thing. It says a mystical concept that a male and female, right, is Ish and Isha. What are those words? I've taught this before, but I'll teach it again. Okay, ish, isha. Anyone remember this?
Man and woman. Is that what they
Yes, ish. Sorry, this is man, this is woman. Okay, ish, isha. This is ish.
Ish.
Yeah, if you look at the root, they both have aleph and they both have shin. Okay? What does aleph and shin mean?
Fire.
Aishlit. Okay? It means fire. Actually, the letters look like fire. Isn't that true? Okay, so it means fire. It's true.
The drawing's fire.
Yeah. Esh means fire. What does that tell me? That a relationship has a lot of fire in it. Okay, but if they have a yud and hey, which is God's name in them, this is what the Talmud says. Ish ve'isha zachu shchina benehem. If they do the right thing, they can bring God between them. They can bring the yud hey in between them. If they do the wrong thing, you take out this too, what do you have? Fire. Consuming fire. Esh ochaltan. It says, if they do the wrong thing, they will be a consuming fire. So the question is, how do you bring God into your relationship? What does that mean?
When you talked about it the first time, you were saying like until a man can overcome like his strongest desires, then he's never really a true man. And that's like one of the steps that they have to take in order to do that.
Okay, that's one of the ways of becoming a more spiritual, godly person, is to overcome yourself, not to be enslaved. But there's one thing that God does that we always try to do, and it's part of that.
Love.
Giving. God only gives, according to Judaism. Never takes. Okay? So what does it mean? Ish ve'isha zachu shchina benehem. If a male and female marry and they bring the God's name into them, means they bring giving into their relationship. If they bring giving into their relationship, they don't think of themselves. They bring God into their relationship, which is the essence of giving into their relationship. Then they will have a healthy relationship. They take away the giving aspect. Me. Physical. Cell phone. Facebook. And all the rest of things that I need to do with myself and my food and waste my time with me, myself, and myself. Then they will just be a consuming fire, because I will be with myself and she will be with herself, and they will just consume each other. There won't be a healthy relationship. Bring giving into the relationship, you have real love. Okay, so the way to get to love is through giving. That is the way. And what is love? It's an attachment. Okay, so that was so far only red flags, and I wanted to carry a lot more, but never mind. And what is love and some other things. But next week, hopefully, we can do exclusive dating religious backgrounds, fear of marriage, and do you actually have a soulmate? Do you have a soulmate? Okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. If you like what you hear and are between the ages of 21 and 30, you are a beginner to Judaism living in Los Angeles, then this group discussion is for you. Come and join us at Aishlit every week on Taco Tequila Torah Tuesdays, or Wednesday night for Wednesday Wine and Wisdom, once a month. This is besides for our exciting social events and Shabbats. Stay tuned for more upcoming podcasts. Check us out on Facebook, Aishlit Los Angeles, or go to our website at aishlit.com.